Never grow up. This is what my 5-year-old daughter picked out for me for Halloween this year, which I'm extremely grateful because I love onesies and I love Gizmo. Because the other options were female cop, princess, Bluey's dad, who honestly, he's the most annoying character in that show, or Hooker. That's right. Hooker. I guess she just liked the outfit. Something for me to watch out for, I guess. You may have a problem taking me seriously wearing this, but that's okay because I'm having a day where I don't want to be taken seriously. Here comes part three of our 3-part episode with Caitlin and Chad. We had a few scheduling snafus. I won't say whose fault it was. Not mine. We got it done, and it was fun. Did we go without any technical issues? Absolutely fucking not. There were a lot. But honestly, it was so cool to sit down with both of them and hear how they do recovery together and work as a unit. It was pretty magical, and I'm happy to meet these two people. I'm happy to meet everybody. This is episode 17. There's 19 total, not to break down the fourth wall. I'm so stoked to have met everybody that I've met doing this show. That's enough. I'm so stoked to have met everybody that I met doing this show. Made a lot of friends. Now, I don't make it out of the house much, so my friendships are different than other friendships. Like, I don't have to hang out with somebody every day to call them a friend. Just know I have your back, people. If you've been asking me to go out and I've been like, yeah, sure, and then not showing up, yo, that's just how Rain rolls, man. Fucking, I was such an asshole. I'm not meaning to be. It's just, look, it's who I am. That's why you love me, I hope. Or hate me, which is a pretty good reason, too. So here's episode 17 with Caitlin and Chad. Bright light. We all got no kids today.
I know.
So.
Woo! Yeah.
Grandparents.
So yeah, thank God for grandparents.
Yeah. Y'all are, I think everybody's loved y'all's story so far. And from what I hear, you guys are very well liked.
Thanks.
I haven't heard one person say, and us addicts will tell you what we think.
Like, I don't like them.
Like, I've had people sit like across from me and they've been like, yeah, I saw that episode with so-and-so. And I'm like, cool. They're like, they're a putt. So I'm like, oh, okay.
So it's interesting because so I moved to Wilmington in 2011 and I went to NA meetings, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's where I met that group of people. And there's people here that were here and like, thank God for them. But like I changed that up when I came back this last time and I started going to AA and I met a different group of people. And so I'm sure that if some of those people from 2011, 2012, if I still had contact with them, like there were probably people who didn't care for me much then just because I was not the same person. You know what I mean? And so it's interesting because I don't really talk to a lot of those people anymore from way back when. And I am a different person, you know? Back then I was not a good person, you know?
I don't think any of us were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, even in the rooms, like it was, I was not there for the right reasons. I wasn't ready to stay clean. So I was just being not a good person back then. And so there's probably mixed feelings out there about me specifically.
Do you think, I haven't heard them yet.
Yeah.
So questions for you. And I've been thinking hard about these questions. 'Cause I don't want to like make y'all fight.
You don't have to make us do that. You know,
but then again, I want to be able to drop real raw stuff. You know,
we're open to it. Whatever.
Like
we can take it.
I don't want to like see y'all on the news.
Here's the thing: if we didn't make it on the news back in 2020,
hey, good point.
You know what I mean? We're good now. And that's one of the things I love about our story because I think about when we go through conflict now or a problem arises, I have this thing within me where I know we can get through anything because the fact that we got through that, there's nothing, we will never encounter anything harder. And there's a lot of course, details that like people don't know about and that aren't for everybody.
Right.
But like the fact of the matter was like that was a very dark time. You know, he thought I was trying to kill him. And like we joke about that right now, but it was really dark. And like, you know, the fact that we made it, we survived that, and we're still married, and moreover, we still love each other and love each other a lot.
Yeah.
I don't believe there's anything that we can't get through together.
How did so yeah, I mean your story is on both episodes. There has to be, as two people that know they want to be together, but also as addicts.
Mm-hmm.
We addicts, we're selfish, we're spiteful,
Yeah.
we're liars.
Mm-hmm.
We it's about us all the time.
All the time. Mm-hmm.
So how were you able, because I would imagine there would have to been some sort of like resentments of some kind.
Oh man, dude.
Like, was that like an open communication thing of let's just talk about this, hash it out? Or was it one of those things of let's just see how the other one does and see how they grow and see how we can just naturally, was it like a natural mesh back together?
Yes and no. I feel like there was a lot of, because a lot of the stuff, like for example, when we were using together, I stole from him a lot, right? I stole every chance I got, right?
But she stole my drugs.
Yeah,
Right.
I stole his drugs. He had
Bro.
the hiding spots. It was like a game. Like I stole, like yes.
So
many
to be
hiding
fair,
spots.
I was working during this period of time.
Yeah.
And like we were doing cocaine. That was where it started. And I would stay up and I would try to get like an hour of sleep before I would go to work. And I don't even know how I
That's why you went into psychosis.
Yeah.
Because you.
So
weren't
like
sleeping.
I don't know how that. I don't even know how I did it. I don't know how I functioned. But I
Right.
would fall.
Not
I
well.
would pass out for 1 hour a night, and she would just run my pockets, dude. Run them, and I would keep it in my
Socks.
boxers and my
Yeah.
socks.
Hide it in candles.
So I would have it for the morning, and she would steal it from me,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "You thieving asshole!"
But
Sorry,
like, so
Dad.
things like that, like I stole from him when we were using, right? So like his thing while we were using was like, I can't trust you. And like, well, no shit. Like we're shooting cocaine all day, every day, of course. And like, I'm going to steal it when you're asleep. Like that is the nature of addiction. I didn't expect you to trust me when you were using. I didn't trust you when you were using. Like that's just kind of how it was. Outside of that, and I really talk about that year that we spent living apart, that year that Layla was with my amazing parents, like that year was so crucial for so many things. So it was natural, but also we worked for it because the great thing is we knew who each other was outside of addiction, because that's when we met. That's when we got married. That's when all the good stuff happened. So I knew, like, I knew the guy that I married wasn't the guy I was using with.
Right.
I was able to completely separate. And like when we got clean and like, it was like coming home to each other and being like, oh, there's my husband. And him being like, there's my wife. I've missed you. We haven't seen each other in years, you know? And it's like, we got something cool kind of happen, at least for me, like we got to kind of fall in love again, and we were living apart. So we would like get together and I would be so excited to go see my husband. You know, like little things.
Courting again.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? So like,
you got to record.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But there was a lot of work in there too, marriage counseling, and like for me, step work, writing out my resentments towards him. And a lot of them were kind of like you know, little things kind of went away once you take the drugs out of it, you know, but I still did work on it. But it really was just like knowing at who he is at his core, and thank God we had that foundation to get back to. It wasn't like we met using and then had to get clean and try to figure it out. Like I always held on to the fact that like my husband's in there, and like if and when we get clean, like we get to come back to each other. And that's what happened with a lot of work as
Have
well.
you ever felt like, since you went through the step work
Mhm.
and you didn't, which I didn't either,
Mhm.
do you think that the step work has brought more coping skills towards these? I am a believer that step work works.
Mhm.
I'm also a believer that you don't have to do it.
Right.
But I'm also a believer of you should at least understand what's in them.
Absolutely.
Because it's helped me a lot.
Right.
Like, even though I haven't done the steps, I
Yeah.
know that I can be a dry drunk sometimes.
Right,
I
right.
know my anger can blow up for no
Mhm.
reason.
Character defects.
Now, acknowledge that as it's blowing up. Hell no, I love getting hot, letting the fire go.
yeah.
But then I'm like, ooh, Billy,
reel
that's
it in.
why you did that.
Yep.
Has the step where you have, has it been more of a coping mechanism to, because we're both going to have those, I don't even know how to word this question. Like I know how I want to word it, but it doesn't sound right.
Like, has it helped me handle like conflict in our marriage?
Has it caused or helped you handle?
Oh,
because it could also lead to resentment too.
Right. And so that is a great question, because in the beginning, I would say I was resentful that he wasn't working steps and wasn't working them, because he did work a little bit.
I got to the 8th step.
Did you?
Yeah, I worked a 4th step. Most freeing thing ever. Everything they say about the 4th step is true. It is scary,
Which one is
and
that?
that's the one where you like
Moral inventory.
Oh hell no!
You know what I'm saying?
I won't lie.
And so like I did do that, and I did a 5th step with a sponsor, and so like I did that, and then life just got busy, and I took a back seat, and like most recently, 3 days ago, I was like, hey, I need to go to a meeting.
Yeah.
I had a using dream. I haven't had a using dream in a couple years, and I woke up and I thought that I had used, and
Those are so
and it was so weird. And I woke up and I was crying, and I was like, "What the fuck have I done?" You know what I mean? And so then I was like, I talked to my boss at work. I talked to him about it. I said, "Yo, I need to go to a meeting." It didn't work out that I could go to the 12 o'clock, and I haven't been to one, but I did acknowledge and realize that like, hey. What I've got now is so important to me that I will do whatever I can to keep it. You know what I mean? And if I need to take a step back and put some things on hold in my personal life to make sure that my spiritual life is and all of this stays intact, then that's what I got to do.
Have you ever felt like, because in marriage in general, you always want to keep things 50-50. The power control needs to be 50-50 or there's just going to be issues on it. Like, are you guys good at completely pouring out what's bothering you without having the other one kind of like, well, this is what you're going to have to do? Like, do you fix each other?
She's
or
much better at that than I am.
Okay. So one of the issues that arose several times in therapy, and I might have mentioned this to you. I don't know if it was on the podcast. So like, I am a venter. I love to vent. I love to bitch. I love to moan. Sometimes that's what I want to do. Listen, and usually it's my best friend Katie. She gets the brunt of it, and like we have each other for that. Thank God, because like when I come to him and I want to bitch and moan about something, like that's sometimes all I want to do. You know, he wants to fix. If I come to him and I'm complaining about something, he's like, "Well, have you tried?" Or "This is what you need to do," and I'm like, "No. I just want you to listen." So like our therapist, who is amazing, she was like, "Okay, you need to." When you're going into an issue, when you're bringing it to Chad, you know, Chad needs to be able to say, do you want support or do you want solutions? And like,
I'm terrible at doing that.
9 times out of 10, I want support. I don't want a solution. And he still offers solutions. And I'm like, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to be there for me.
And then I get mad. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, what
You're
the
like,
fuck
well,
do you
what-
want from
yeah.
me? Like,
And so he's
what are you
such a
talking to me about
fixer.
this for?
I'm
You know
not
what I
with
mean?
you, dude.
And I'm like, I just want to bitch about it. Like, let me. Like, I just want you to be here and listen. And I think a couple times I was like, or one time not too long ago, I was, and you were trying to fix something, and I was just bitching about it. And I was like, well, I should have just called Katie or my mom then. I should. And you were like, oh, you know. And I was like, well, like I know.
Well, maybe you just fucking shit.
That's probably what he was thinking. Like, like I just want to. Sometimes I just want to vent, and like I don't want your solutions, and like that was a big thing, and it still is, and like sometimes. We need to do better at that.
So
like,
there's a whole last book that Josh has told me about, and is Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, written in the 70s.
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
old school.
But it still holds true, and I've ordered it on Amazon, so we're both gonna read it.
Hey,
I
love a book.
You know. But I struggle. I struggle with biting my tongue. I do. I do. Going back to what she was saying about you know, our relationship and everything. Like I have said this for a long time, but like because of what we had, what we lost, and starting over from nothing, and like we had nothing.
Yeah.
So everything that we have now is so plentiful. You know what I mean? And like our life. Like we don't have everything we want. Like we want things, but like we're good,
Right?
You know, and I
gratitude,
think I think that knowing that is like we can get through anything.
Right.
Nothing else matters.
It
like
doesn't.
it just
everything
doesn't
else
matter.
feels real. Like just trivial compared to that. So like even when we fight, it's
we get in fights.
Everything's third world problem.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's like this, nothing can be that bad. Like even when we fight, it's still just like, oh well, we know we'll get through it,
Yeah.
you know, because we got through that, you know.
And so like it's funny because like people, I can't even tell you the amount of times that people, oh, your relationship's just so perfect, and I want what you have, and like all this stuff, and like I appreciate that, but they're only seeing like Facebook, you know what I'm saying, and they're not looking at the work that went into getting to where we are,
Exactly.
and like it was a lot of work.
Facebook
And
ruins relationships.
It was a lot of tears, like a lot of tears, like a lot of like pain, and a lot of like just, you know, but realizing like there was a whole bunch of strength that came from what we went through.
Yeah.
And like strength as a unit. You know what I mean? Like we made a decision that our relationship was worth fighting for.
Yep.
And we did that.
Yeah.
And so like, we can get through anything.
Exactly.
Like I believe that.
I think it's more of, I would think in y'all's situation, you would have to allow each other to be strong enough to stand on their own without the other one,
Yeah.
because
Right.
without that you wouldn't
Right.
have the strength to pick the other one up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to do that first year, is like we both had to do it on our own, but still take time to like start putting the pieces back together in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
But like living on our own, living separately, you know, day in and day out, it was just me with myself, you know, it was just him with himself. And so like that we had to do that, because if we had gone back together immediately after getting out of rehab, then the focus would have been on our marriage and our relationship. And like there would have been no individual work done.
Yeah.
Not really, you know? So like because of that, and because we made the effort to date each other again, to fall in love again, and it because of all that, like that's what made it happen, really.
Yeah.
You know?
That's pretty
It was
cool.
really cool.
man.
Not many people have the chance to fall in love with their husband twice, you know?
They don't, and it's lucky. But and I think what you were just saying a second ago about like when people look at the relationship and everything, like people say that about, you know, and me and Robin, we are the type that we've never yelled at each other, we've never argued, but we've had disagreements.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, it's like one of those things to where it falls into our characteristics. Like
Right.
she doesn't like conflict.
Yeah, me neither.
You know, but she also understands that like I may get a little hot about something, never towards her.
Right.
But I'm also like, she understands the addict mind to know that like in about 10 minutes, he's gonna be fine and we're gonna
On to
talk
something
about it.
else.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna- whoop.
Yeah. So, and I would think that would be like with two addicts, it would be like one of those things. Like, do y'all ever have a moment to where it's like you just realize that nothing good's gonna have the conversation, and you just stop talking, walk away, and come back later?
Yeah, but we're both stubborn. So like,
She's petty.
Well, I'll be the one to walk away because he'll keep going.
I do it with my 6-year-old.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. It's ridiculous. Really, I have to like be like, will you stop antagonizing her? Because they will go at it, and I'm like, you're like,
I'm like, you're a little poopy poop face.
yeah, like it's so ridiculous.
She's like, stop it, Dad.
Daddy, and I'm like, why are you doing this? You're making it work. And then she's gonna run to me and be like, Mommy, and then I have to do the whole thing. And it's like, you are making this so much. You're acting like a 6-year-old. You're supposed to be 40 years old. You're the one who shows some maturity in this situation. And you're making it so much worse. But yeah, there are times when we have to. I will be the one to walk away and kind of shut it down. But then I've always had a really hard time with just like being in conflict. Like if he has to go to work and like he walks out the door and like we had been fighting, I have a really hard time with that kind of sitting in my spirit and like going forward through my day. Like I can't really function. I've gotten better at it. My best friend and I were talking about this the other day. Like in the beginning of sobriety, and this was coming from a place of fear, right? Because I was so scared of losing my marriage. But like I would end up apologizing even if I wasn't really sorry, just to do away with the conflict.
God bless you.
Oh my God, I did it so much, and like I
Those
was like,
were the good old days.
Now she ain't worried about losing the husband.
now I'm like, if I'm not sorry, I'm not gonna say it. Or if I think I was right and he was wrong, like I'm not gonna sacrifice like myself and be this martyr who's just like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that if I believed that I should have.
And this is the difference in us because I don't apologize even when I know I'm wrong.
No, he's gotten better. He's gotten better.
I'm
Like nada?
Nah, I do.
He does.
Well, yeah,
but
you
he used
have to
not.
at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we've both.
It takes
kind
a
of
little
come-
while.
Couches are only comfortable for like 2 nights in a row, bro.
I'm like,
Oh, that gets
I'm always like, look, I'm sorry, but
that's the most famous. I'm sorry, but like you know, and then goes in on me.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we could just, we got in a fight the other night, and then and then the next morning he left for work, and like it still wasn't great, and I was like, I have to call him. Like I can't go through my day. Like I can't, take the
you
girls
want to
where
hear
they
what
need
this
to
fight was
be.
about? This fight was about 50 cents.
It was not about 50 cents. It was about money. That's all you need to know. It was about money.
50 cents.
No.
Money.
It wasn't 50 cents. It was a $50 bill and a $20 bill.
I needed 50 cents.
I know. Anyways, like I had to call him, and I was in the wrong here, which like I don't admit lightly, but like I was in the wrong because of the behavior that went behind this was lying. That's
Right.
what I was doing essentially. And so I had to call and be like, I'm wrong. And I was like, I'm sorry. And then he was like, and then he still kept fussing. And I was
not fussing. I was explaining.
I was like, let me just say I'm sorry. And then we move on. And I say, I'll do better and we'll move on. And then you were like,
So like, here's the deal. We each have a past, and so she has a weird issue centered around money. She likes to hoard cash. And I'm like,
I just feel safe if I have a little bit
because
of cash on me.
she was financially controlled in a relationship, right?
Right.
Not this relationship,
Right.
but in a previous relationship. Well, I was financially abused in a previous relationship. Had a girlfriend that would steal from me all the time, lie to me, right? You know what I mean? So like, there's some issues there,
Yeah.
and so like, but this has been going on for years. You know what I mean? It's not. And so like, I needed 50 cents, and she's like, I don't have any money. And while she's digging through her fanny pack, holding a $50 bill back, and then I see the $50 bill, and I'm like, what do you mean? We're at a gas station. Like I'm putting air in your tire. And so then I see a 20 fall out, and I'm like, yo, what is this?
That
You know
was
what
like
I mean?
my reserve, my safety reserve.
Also, it's a 50 and a 20.
Yeah, and like
you can't
for
break
car,
a 50 and a
exactly.
20 for 50
Thank you,
cents.
Billy.
Nah,
Well, that's
don't
what
take
I was
those
thinking. I thought he meant like small bills, like a 1 or a 5.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
most,
yeah.
but it was also an automatic behavior of like I automatically lied. You
And
know
that's
what I
where
mean?
it comes from. And like, that's cool. Like, we can get past that. You know what I mean? It's 50 cents. But then we get to the gym and it's just like, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And then
It's one of them. So it's one of the things of like it's victorious when I hear I'm sorry.
yeah.
Which is wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I admitted I was wrong, which
She
I don't
did.
ever do.
Yeah.
And then I'm keep
He was
going.
ready to. He was ready
I
for
have
the
the
fight
thing
to
of, like,
Some days I just
I
want
want
to
to
fight.
hold that. I want to hold that victory for longer. Like I don't want to be like yay and put
Yeah.
it down. I'm gonna be like
You
yay.
are sorry. I am
going.
right. You were wrong. Let me talk about how wrong you were and why you're wrong.
Right,
I'm like, babe,
which-
let's just leave it at this.
You're
In
right. and I'm an
retrospect,
asshole.
probably
I can
isn't. And I think you probably acknowledge that
Yeah.
too. It's like, but I mean, I would still do. I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm never right though. So when I am right, it's like,
Yeah, he's got to hold
let me,
on to
let
that
me
thing.
dig this in a
Yeah,
little bit more.
exactly.
do what I do, and they have these little trophies on Amazon for $1.99 that you can
We
get
get on there, right?
little stickers. Like they just put stickers, they print it out, and like I'll put on there like, and I haven't done it yet, but I want to now that I'm bringing it back up because I forgot about it till right now. Like won the fight
Yeah.
of, and then
Yep.
blank, blank, blank.
Right.
Like I
a
think
good
that's
idea.
cool.
I'm gonna
And
get
then
you one
collect
next
them. Like
Yeah, yeah.
catch them all.
Not gonna have many, but maybe get one a year.
Hey, I'll take it where I can get it.
Yeah, look, then get a big one.
Yeah.
And put it right in the
really
middle of
big
the
That's what I
living
give
room.
you for Christmas.
No.
This trophy that says I was right. I won more arguments this year than you.
No, that's
Never
So
happened.
when it comes to with having, it was just over 3 years, 3.5 now.
It'll be
Almost
4 in
4 in
January.
January.
Oh, that's so dope, y'all. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
So with after you've been through the recovery now, and I saw this wonderful TikTok the other day explaining early recovery
Shoo.
versus on how beautiful or how important early recovery is, but how important after that 3-year mark,
Yeah.
it is, because your first year, you're having your first Christmas, first
Yeah.
Easter, first all this, and you got to learn how to do
Yeah.
it. Then the beauty comes after about that 3-year mark to where you're not thinking about it all day
Right.
every day.
Right.
In my opinion, I don't think we ever like fully recover
Yeah.
because
Yeah. I don't.
it's in our
Right.
blood.
Yeah.
But how is now, after almost 4 years, managing your recovery versus how it was when you first got back together, got in the house, and before the little one came along?
Well, it's interesting because that reminds me, when I picked up my 3-year coin back in January, I remember what I said, because each year is so different, right? My third year in sobriety is nothing like my first year. And I was thinking about like what kept me clean and sober like through each year. And like the first year, what kept me clean and sober was pain. Really was pain. Like that's what kept me from going back out. The second year, it was step work. And the third year, it was sponsorship, like me getting to sponsor other women. Like that, now I'm at the point where what keeps me sober is helping others. And that's something I have to keep doing. And so each year it looks the same. Like I'm still doing the stuff that kept me sober in the beginning, but there's different growth and motivation behind each of the things. But that first year was all about just running from pain, just avoiding the pain that our life had become, and like not wanting that ever again. Like that's what kept me clean and sober. And then the second year was like really doing that work and like seeing the results that it gave me. And then the third year was really, for the first time, getting to experience like using my story and like finding the purpose in my pain. And like that was so powerful for me. And like my sponsees in a lot of ways and I've heard people say this, but like keep me sober because like I have an obligation to them, and like my story is not my own anymore. Like I get to give it away, and I get to go speak at treatment centers and like speak to young women who are just like I was in my early 20s, and like really, so that's how it looks individually in my recovery. I know his is a little different.
Yeah, so I I like what she said about the first year. I mean, it was all about pain. And honestly, like I resonate more with the pain of it. Not more than her, but like more than anything else. Like that thought of going back to that period of time scares the shit out of me, to the point where I don't think about drugs and alcohol anymore, like at all. Now I have a lot of behaviors that pop up here and there, and anger and fear. But I think fear keeps me sober today. The fear of losing all of this, the fear of going back to that hotel room, that I spoke about, because that was probably the low of my life, was sitting there, in that room with the woman of my dreams. You know what I mean? But feeling alone and just nowhere to go. And I didn't do a good job when I spoke the first time of like showing the appreciation to like her parents and my parents, but letting them down and going back there. Cause I've done that before with my parents, but I've never done that with her parents. Yeah. And like I walk in their house today and her parents, I'm going to start crying. Here it comes. Her parents give me a hug and they tell me they love me. You know what I mean? And like, I can't imagine how they felt. I know they loved me then. But knowing that I was in the hotel room with their daughter, just killing ourselves. And like her dad told me this. Her dad told me he loved me before she did.
When we started dating.
When we started dating.
Yep.
And I think that comes from just her past decisions with men and all of that. But like I was a good person then. And I am a good person. You know what I mean?
Treated me like a princess. And my dad was like, oh, wow. Like, this is what I've wanted for my daughters, for a man to come in and treat her like the princess that she's always been to me.
That's all I want for my daughter.
Exactly.
I mean, I hope it's a woman that treats her right. I don't want to be able to do, but I hear you.
Yeah, just be treated nice.
We just, that fear of letting everyone down again. I mean, dude, I would just die. You know what I mean? Like I just can't. And like I go to where it's interesting because like the other day I had a little meltdown when I had that using dream, and I hadn't felt like that in a really long time. And so I talked to my boss, and I said in my podcast that work keeps me centered around recovery. And I taught, because he watched it and we were talking about it, and he said, work doesn't keep you centered on recovery. It shows you what it's like without recovery, because these guys come in here. And like the cool thing about my job is I see a bunch of people that were just like me, but then I see a couple of them get it. And like, I just went to a wedding last weekend of one of my buddies, and like, he's been sober and clean, and now he's getting married. You know what I mean? And like, what a beautiful time. Yeah. I see these kids, and they come up to me in the morning, hey man, I just got my license back. I haven't had my license in 10 years. You know what I mean?
I got to see my kids.
I got to see my kids this weekend. I had one come up to me yesterday. Hey man, I just want to tell you that I'm going to sign a lease on an apartment. And like shit like that is a beautiful thing. But then I see the other ones, and I get the phone calls. Hey man, this kid's in the hospital right now, and he's about to die. You know what I mean? I see that as well.
I look at what you do as a form of non-direct sponsor.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's
these kids. They and they're not kids. They're grown men.
You got to think about it. It's kind of like you're this is the fucking horrible analogy, but I'm going to go with it. It's kind of like you're. No, that's a horrible analogy. I was going to say, like,
now I want to hear
star of the basketball team, and then you have these kids coming in that are getting it, that are helping you be better and to showcase yourself. But it's not like you're not intentionally doing it. Like, I get it and I understand. Like, these kids are coming in and they say, "Oh man, Chad's got almost 4 years. Man, how you doing it, man?" Like, I see your life. I see that. I want that. And then from there, that kind of gives you power of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's empowering.
Yeah, right. It is. And that's a daily thing. But I'm not taking that anywhere and doing anything with it. You know what I'm saying? Like they come in and like some days it's great and they say, "Oh, Chad, I want what you got." But some days they piss me the fuck off. You know what I mean? Like yesterday was a rough day, and I lost my temper with a coworker, and like I had to apologize to her this morning. You know what I mean? I wasn't mad at her, but I was mad at the shit show that was yesterday. You know what I mean? And like I reacted in an unfair way to a coworker who had nothing to do with what was going on. Julie, I'm sorry. But she got all of these feelings that were none of hers. I lashed out on her, and it had nothing to do with her. You know what I mean? And that's unchecked, whatever, in my own shit. And I'm not taking this anywhere. And like I see it, and like I did this week, I said, "Yo, I need to get back on my shit."
Yeah.
Because like I'm not willing to go back to that hotel room, like at all.
Right.
I think you kind of. I'm a firm believer in recovery should be acknowledged and patted on the back. But when you're in a real life environment, the rest of the world's not going to pat you back.
Absolutely.
Good job. You haven't shot heroin in years.
Kudos.
That's great.
You being a decent person.
Yeah,
like I've been
being live with your legs.
Right.
Like, and it's just like my parents. Like my parents are not addicts and alcoholics. Right. They drink. They have parties. Like they enjoy life. Do a great job that they can stop. You know what I mean? Like and. That's the thing about early. Oh, look at me! I've just graduated to stage 2 in my halfway house, and they're like, "Dude, what are you fucking get a job, motherfucker?"
Keep going.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
good. Keep going.
Like I'm not, and like you keep starting over, and you had clean time, and now you're choosing the drugs over us. You know what I mean? And like I was,
I get mad at it too when I see somebody that's got a lot. Or a good amount of time that was working have one thing that crushed them down.
Yeah.
I have a friend that I think I talked about on one of y'all's episodes, had 10 years, and then all of a sudden, like, he was gone. One night going back out, OD'd, gone. And I'm like, all right. Like, I was sad because he was a good friend, but at the same time, I'm like, you made your choice, man.
Right.
And like that,
I got kids, I got to keep going.
And like that was me, dude.
Yeah.
I did that. I had clean time and I threw it all away. I had clean time and I had the support of both of our parents. You know what I mean? And had this beautiful life. And I did that. I threw it all away. We did that. You know what I mean? Yeah. We chose to make a decision to use and could not stop and lost everything. Yeah. And we did that together. But the beauty in that is that we like came up from that together. You know what I mean? And if one of us had not And like me, if I had not, or she had not, like we wouldn't have any of this.
No.
Like, you know, I have no clue where my life would be right now if
Yeah.
that had not happened. And it's such like a beautiful thing, dude. We did this together.
Yeah.
And like keep going. You know what I mean? Like keep going. It's not.
Now, how are conversations of like when you woke up? I've had those dreams before, dude. Oh my God. I woke up and it was the only time I've ever woke up with like Tilly's foot, like right here, where I've been so
What a
happy
reminder,
to have
dude.
that foot right there.
You're like, oh, thank God.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, my
Yeah.
face hurts, but great.
And
Yes.
see, like that particular time the other day, like we had got in a fight. That was the fight over the 50 cents. Then I went and I overextended myself and did something I shouldn't have done for work and had to drop this piece off to this guy. And I was out there and then I got up and I got like 4 hours of sleep and I woke up with a using dream. And like, then I went to work. And then I was just alone from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Scary shit.
And just thinking like, you know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
when I was like, hey, I called my boss and I was like, hey man, I need to go to this 12 o'clock meeting today. You know what I mean? And like, I hadn't been to a meeting in quite some time. You know? You know, between work, daddy, gym, home, you know what I mean?
That's all we have time for, dude.
Exactly. And so like, I haven't felt the need to go to a meeting, but when that need arose, like I was like, yo, I got to do this.
But something great that he does for me, my home group is every Wednesday. It's a women's group. It's amazing. It's every Wednesday at 6:30. And a lot of times I'll meet with a sponsee either before or after, or I'll go early to talk to my sponsor because she and I have the same home group. And so something that we've implemented that is so important is he knows that he's got kid duty Wednesday nights. Like that is, you know, it's going to be a McDonald's or chicken nuggets in the air fryer night. Like he knows, even the kids
look forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. So like he knows that like, and you know, of course his boss supports it and everything. Like he's got to be home by a certain time on Wednesday because mommy's got to go to her home group, you know, and like sometimes it doesn't work out. This past Wednesday, and you had to go deliver that furniture, and it was just chaos. And so, but like it's something that is so important for me, and he knows that, and he respects that, and like he works all day, and then comes home and just gets harassed by two little gremlins, you know, for up until bedtime. But like that's what I need for my recovery to stay sober, and so like he prioritizes that, and that is such an important thing. I think like I am so grateful to him, and I probably don't express it enough, but
She does.
so grateful that like he makes sure that I'm able to do that, you know, 'cause not everybody gets to.
Well, you getting your time
Right.
to do that, to keep
Yes.
yourself straight,
Exactly.
is just as good for him.
That's true. That's very true.
Anyway, I mean,
never looked at it like
that. The way I just said
so
it's
true.
hilarious, but it
Yeah,
is.
it is.
It's the same thing with
Absolutely.
with my wife, and like on Wednesdays she likes to go to choir,
Right.
Or she likes to do this thing for the church. Like that's her. She deals with toddlers shitting themselves all day.
She's an angel.
Oh, she is. Dude. I don't know how I got so lucky, but I'm not going to question it anymore.
Yeah.
But she has to have that. Thursday nights are my nights to sit in my office and play video games with my friends and say whatever horrible things I say on there to people. You got to have that time for whatever works for it. So it kind of, tell me if I'm wrong, what's kind of really her going to do that on Wednesday night to make sure her core remains strength is actually strengthening your core, because and I don't mean to sound chauvinist here, but men think the way men think is it's more of a thing of, okay, I'm the man of this house holding it down so that core can get strengthened, which is going to benefit both of us. And here with my children reminds me of everything that is going on. So it's almost like Wednesday nights are kind of a meeting for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I love it because, you know, I work during the weekends, right? And so like the other day when I work an all day wedding, when I go in the morning and then, you know, like I'll coordinate during the day and then bartend at night or whatever. So I have like tomorrow's one of those days. The last time I did that last week, he acts so surprised.
You ain't tell me.
I forget about everything.
You ain't working tomorrow.
Yeah. So the last time I did that, he sent me a text about midday and he was like, I don't know how you do this, you know? And like, part of me was like, oh, he's in the trenches. But part of me was like, you know, that's good. Like, yeah, get a taste of it.
Trenches suck, dude.
Yeah. But
Bro,
like,
and
it makes me feel, and he took time out of the trenches to let me know that like what I do is hard, you
Like
know?
I quickly forget like what all she does. You know what I mean? Because like I quickly I forgot this morning. You know what I mean? And like I went to work for an hour and a half to get our guys out and whatever, do a couple things up there, and then I told her I was going to the gym
at like 8:15, Billy.
Yeah, and you were coming at 9:30, and so I was like, if I get home at 9, I'll have plenty of time to take the kids. You get
20
set
minutes
up,
away.
whatever. But like then she said, hey, like no, the kids got to get ready. I got to get ready. The house has got to get clean.
He was like, why isn't the house already clean? I was like, oh,
Yeah. So
You only said that because you got told no.
I was like, you do not.
Hey,
you
I
don't
was
run
at the
that
gym. I did one set of lat pull downs, and I got in the car and I came the fuck home. You know what I mean? Because like I was wrong, and I didn't tell her that. I'm admitting it in front of the however many people are going to watch this episode. I was in the wrong. You know what I mean? And I quickly forget what all she does, and I struggle with that. Like I'm out of the house for however long on a daily basis, and I quickly forget how tough it is to take care of our children.
Do you think with because you're just like me, when I say something to you or ask you a question like I'm about to ask, it isn't me jabbing at you. Just remember, I see a mirror here.
Yeah.
Because I see this. Do you think with the unique way or different way that you do your recovery, as you know, Caitlin's sponsorship, the Wednesday nights, like pretty disciplined with it, and I think you and I are more of, we don't think about it, so we gotta, but there's also those characteristics that we're gonna have, like the lack of patience, the easy to flare up and get angry or irritated. I would say more irritated because I think angry is a different level that the world doesn't get to see as much of these days.
Right.
You know, I don't want anyone to see me angry, but irritated is a normal thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
I think, and this is just me going off what she said, I see what she's doing is working because I see it. I see her glow. I see her helping and doing all these things. She doesn't lose her patience very often. I lose mine much more so. And I probably, you know, I say I don't have a sponsor. I kind of got a sponsor. Josh, you're kind of my sponsor. But he, you know, I talk to him on a daily basis. This man, that's the man I was talking about. He's got 16 years clean.
Incredible.
Just a fucking knockdown, drag out crackhead, been kicked out halfway house 20 times, whatever. You know what I mean? But I see him now.
Good for him.
Yeah, dude. Like this dude. Like
I mean, the 16 years not getting kicked out.
Well, no, but that's his story, and I'm not gonna tell his story.
Right.
But it's just like I see him, and I want to be like him. And I talk to him daily,
And he runs his company.
he always talks from a place of recovery. You know what I mean? When you ask him a question, you know what I mean, it comes from an experience in recovery.
Yeah.
And he will
Always
I
kinda
just think
relate
it's
it
so
back to-
important to him. He does such a great job, and he has everything that I have. He has a kid, he has a wife, he has more responsibility than I do at work. You know what I mean? And so for him to always revert back to a place of recovery, like I envy that and I want that. You know what I mean? Because it's so important. And so I kind of have like a, you know what I mean, a little sponsor kind of. But I think
you have
mentor.
a system.
I a mentor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I want what he has. You know,
Like he's the type of friend-
he has been my sponsor before, and I don't like how he makes me do some crazy shit. You know what I mean? like all kinds of like writing novels and stuff. Like, not novels.
You had to
but-
write about a war one time, right?
Yeah, a war. Like he is so weird.
do
Like he
research
just
paper on
like,
something.
hey man, can you sponsor me? Yeah, I can sponsor you, but you need to write this about this war. Look it up. You know what I mean? But it comes from a place of recovery. And I don't even
Going for
remember.
a place of dedication.
This was 10 years ago. Like I don't remember.
that was
But
a long
like,
time.
so like
He's also,
I
I,
don't
think
have
it's
the
important
meetings,
to say, he's
you
your
know what I
best
mean?
friend. Like, he's your boss. He's your best friend. He used to be your sponsor. He's the person you go to with everything. And
he's my guy.
he's your guy. And like, what I love about Josh is many things. He's hilarious. He's a great cook. But he,
Chicken's dry.
okay, so if Chad and I were in a fight and like I was the person that was right and like Chad took the fight to Josh and told him about it and like Chad was clearly in the wrong, Josh is not the kind of friend who'd be like, yeah, that's ridiculous. She's ridiculous. Josh would be like, you see what you're doing here, right? You see what character defect is bringing out here, and you need to call your wife and apologize. Like, that's the kind of man and friend Josh is.
But he also loves my wife.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
He loves my kids.
Well, he wants you guys to succeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think where my question was going to try to go, where I was trying to say, is,
Sorry.
no, that was perfect lead in.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is why y'all easy to talk to. It's like, man, look, it kind of sounds like through you guys doing what you were supposed to do, changing people, places, things, spending a year apart for each other.
Yep.
And even though you went through some steps,
Yeah.
which is more than I did, so congrats on that. I saw what step 4 was. I'm like, and I left.
No,
I didn't even
thank
pay
you.
the tab. Like, I dined and dashed. I'll never go through that, and I'll be so hard on myself. But it sounds like, kind of like with me, that the universe kind of brought me where I am right now, gave me the support system, where everything. I think some of that sounds like it was natural from you, but also I think you maybe subconsciously constructed this perfect environment.
Yes.
So you have these people in early recovery around you. You have this boss and best friend. You have this wonderful wife that's doing everything that she's got to do for herself to strengthen herself, that also rubs off on you on it. And then y'all made these 2 beautiful babies. I see pictures of y'all as kids on there, and I'm like, man, I watched So Chilly one of Layla the other day. She goes, Layla! She doesn't remember names, y'all. She asked me the other day, because I told her that, I was like, hey, we might see if Layla wants to go to the park or something on Saturday. Luckily, she forgot.
Yeah.
Papa came in.
Yep.
But, I mean, I think it's one of those things to where I love how I want everyone to succeed, but I love seeing the different points of recovery. Like, I love what you're doing with yourself and the sponsees and making sure you have that night and that home group for it. Because really, when you think about it, and it is what it is having those sponsees, having that women's group, having that home group, having all those people that you're helping. Not only is it, and because we as addicts have those egos, have those ids, those strong ids that are it's id and super ego with Freud. And so it would be an id. Wait, which one's the healthy one? Super ego or id?
Id, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But it's
In a way.
you getting to be able to, it's kind of like feeding that id, but in a positive way that's rubbing off on other people that have gone through the same thing on it. And you've got that with work. Man, I wish I had that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, to where it's these people that can you're leading by action.
Yeah.
And you're leading through story.
And his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just his life is a testament to the power of recovery.
They're both equally as strong.
Well, and I think we both work a program of recovery. Mine just happens to be a 12-step one, and his is curated to what serves him best. And in the beginning, I don't know if I've mentioned this, that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
I was like, he needs to be working the 12 steps as hard as me. He needs to be doing all this. We need to be at the same level in AA. Like, it's got to be, or it's not going to work. And that was a place of fear, because I was so scared of him relapsing and dying, or me relapsing as well. So, like, I thought that we would both have to be all in on the 12-step program, or it would never work.
Yeah.
And thank God that's changed.
So, like, that year that we were apart also, like, I forget how hard it is to be a mom. And I think that sometimes she forgets how hard it is to be the provider. You know what I mean? Because, like, that year that we were apart, she was in a halfway house, and like she had time to do, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was still providing. Yeah. Like, I was still working every day, like working my ass off on the back of a moving truck. Right. $0.
Yeah.
Grinding,
like, why are you working on your 4-step?
Yeah,
and she's like, when would I have done that?
And I'm like, you've been sitting at home all fucking day writing your 4-step. You know what I mean? And so like early on, she would bitch at me about not going to meetings. Like, you need to go to a meeting. I'm like, man, I just worked 12 hours out here carrying this heavy ass shit up and down 4 flights of stairs. Like, I'm tired. And you need to go to a meeting. You know what I mean? And so, like, now she can see results in my life, and what I'm doing is working. You know what I mean?
And the great thing is, like, AA and 12 steps are always there. So it's like, like, what he's doing is working right now. But, like, with the other night, he was like, I need a meeting. That will always be available to him, And
the fact that you acknowledge that,
And and I want to, this is super important to me. Like early on in my recovery, even way back when, the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous were one of the most important things to me. It gave me friendship. It gave me
connection,
a community. It gave me all of these things. And it came at such a good time in my life. Like I needed that. I needed to be around other people that were struggling and were trying to do the same thing that I was doing.
Yep.
Some of the best friends in my life, still to this day, I met in a meeting. You know what I mean? And like, I think that that's super important. Now that it's changed, I don't necessarily, I have my community now, you know what I mean? But I think someone getting out of treatment, I think one of the best places, whether you work the steps or not, going to a meeting is super important because you meet people there.
90 for 90 is a must.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so like, it's changed over the years, but its core is still in a meeting. You know what I mean? All of these people that I talk to on a daily basis, for the most part, are in recovery.
Right.
And I met them through a meeting or halfway house or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I met them in that spot in my life.
Yeah.
And
Including
that's
your wife.
super important. And including my wife. I met her in a meeting.
That's right, y'all, man. How cheesy were his pickup lines?
Oh, I don't remember. All I remember is the bowl cut. I mean, the bowl cut kind of took over.
That's
everything
enough.
right now.
You lucky motherfucker.
Oh my god.
So like that's another thing. Like we are like, and we know that we are like the exception to the rule.
Right.
Like I started our relationship in rehab. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we know that doesn't. People look at us and they're like, "Oh man, you got what, rehab romance, whatever." You know what I mean? And like
not
that,
recommend.
it doesn't happen like that.
Well, and statistically speaking, one opiate addict, like the survival rate, and the recovery rate is already bleak, and two together is almost unheard of. And so like, I recognize that. And I do not recommend, if a sponsee comes to me and they're like, I've been using with my boyfriend for the last, year or two, but like, we're going to get sober together and we're going to do this. And I'm like, no, like, please don't, and they're like, well, you and your husband. I'm like, no.
Work on yourself.
Work on yourself.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and then come together.
Right.
But like that's what we
know that it's not very like the odds are not great.
No.
And like we are a miracle, not only individually but our marriage as well. And like it was not without really hard work. And
right. I just love how the past you guys have had. It's kind of like when I meet people now that had no idea that side of me. They're like, man, I never would have thought.
Never would have thought.
Like I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a complimentary thing.
It
to
absolutely
say.
is. Yeah.
Let's go to these questions.
Yeah.
So normally I ask the question, what's one characteristic that you still have? We've talked about that. We know about that, the other ones. What I want to ask you is more of the pride question. Okay. And I think this is a nice way of doing it. This was actually Robin's idea because she is wonderful.
She is.
Please come home. I'm going to burn the house down. I'm going to start with whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, let's let you go first. You sound so much better than me.
When it comes to not just you as yourself, Chad or Caitlin. Well, I just went Chad or Caitlin.
We knew what you meant.
Caitlin.
Not just yourself, but when it comes to being a parent and partner, first of all, when it comes to those two, what are you the most proud of? And also, what are you the most proud of your partner?
Love that. Definitely as a,
Aren't you glad you're going to stay and got some time to think? Son, set you up.
I'm going to start crying.
I love that. Definitely collectively just that we both were willing to put in the work and that we saw our marriage as something sacred enough to save. I'm very lucky that it wasn't just one of us who had to like convince the other or something like that. Like I'm very lucky that we were on the same page with that and we were both willing to do anything and everything. Not only as to get our marriage back, but to get our daughter back as well. So that's kind of similar to the answer I gave last time, but definitely definitely just like the work we put in and like where, just if you took a snapshot of where we were 4 years ago and put it beside a snapshot of this today, like that is insane to me. That I never would have dreamt that we could make it out alive and be here today, you know? And what am I most proud of about him? There's so many things. His work ethic, the way he loves me, like, and one thing I love about our relationship is he flirts with me. And like that has never gone away. And it is my favorite thing about him. And a lot of times it sounds like talking shit because it is. And I love that about us is that we constantly flirt. We never stop flirting. And that's something that was lost when we were using buddies. We weren't flirting. We were just coexisting and barely at that. But like the way he loves me, the way he shows up for me, the way he allows me to be a person in AA, a person in recovery, the way he allows me to be working in the industry I am, and he supports me and champions me in everything I do.
Betrothed and bound.
Shout out. Shout out. That was for Lauren. And but everything, I mean, and it hasn't changed. Like this, so much has changed in our relationship over the years. You know, we've been together since 2016. So much has changed, but he is so consistent in the way he loves me. Like he looks at me like he did in 2012. Like he just is
When I fell in love.
when he fell in love with me in 2012. Like he's just the luckiest man in the world. Like this man truly does like he really does think the world of me. He worships me. Yeah. And like that has never changed. Even after seeing me in the darkest time of my life, you know? And then he still thinks I hung the moon. Like that's crazy to me. And like I've never experienced, and nor will I ever experience a love this fierce and this unconditional and this consistent. And like, it's my husband. So like, I just love the way he loves me and love his work ethic too. I have to mention that because he's such a hard worker. So
You are a hard worker.
he is. And he does it all for his family. Like that's it. Like he's not, you know, it's all for me and the girls. And he just loves us so well. So well. So I think that's that for me.
Good answer.
Making me cry.
It's not that hard.
It's not.
I'm the same way, dude.
He's a crier.
I think just because I've been so like just through so much like hurt and all that, that's why it comes out. You know, I'm super proud of just where I am as a person, but as a unit.
It's also a Thompson
Overwhelmingly
thing.
Happy.
Yeah.
It's a Thompson trait.
It is. It is. My whole
love it.
family.
I
My
love it.
dad. My mom, not so much, but my dad.
She does. She gets
every Christmas time.
Forget
bro,
it. Everybody's
Christmas
crying.
morning. We
Oh,
just
yeah.
first
Everybody's
present.
crying.
Just
Box of
crying.
tissues.
There
Yeah,
you go.
it's so amazing.
You know, I always say like, you about to make me cry. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like
John Charles is already crying.
Last night,
Yeah.
you know, we too had to. My mom had to put one of her dogs down, and super sad time. I remember when this dog was born, 13, 15 years, whatever it was. And so we made her an ornament, and
With all the dogs.
with all the
on
dogs that we've lost over the
Yeah.
years and everything, and then
Yeah.
the three, whatever, super corny. But then she said, "I've got something for you," and so she had gotten this box of all of the letters and cards of when I was in treatment facilities, and saved them over. I guess that's about 21 years worth of
Wow.
cards, and they just saved them. I don't know why. So I got them there on the steps right there.
That you were sending to her? Or
That people were sending to me.
Okay.
Because so my mom, all of her friends, she has a very close knit circle of friends.
Yeah.
And they have been,
Yeah.
you know, the amount of messages that I've gotten since
the podcast.
the podcast
aired.
aired has been unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Good.
Yeah.
And it lets me know that through my pain and our pain, people are getting some help out of it. And I think that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Thank you for telling me that. I needed to hear that
Yeah,
today.
that to me is like the most important thing, because like all of the pain and all the years of suffering and everything, like if someone cannot go down the path that we went down, that I went down, or is going down, and then they're like, man, this is
Here's
fucking
something
it.
that
You know what I mean? I don't want to do that, and get some help. Like I think that's that makes all of this worth it. And I appreciate you for doing what you're
absolutely.
doing, because that's a beautiful thing.
So important.
People like way better people than me have reached out to me and I'm like, man, I want to meet that guy. You know what I mean? Like the guy that saved my life messaged me and said, man, I want to meet him. He's doing some good work. So that's a beautiful thing.
Now you're gonna make me cry.
And that's all right. Let it out, man. You're at the Thompson kitchen table, dude. We shed tears around here.
Cry, bro.
That's all right. You know what I mean? But so anyway, they sent me letters while I was in treatment and locked up and all of these things, and 20 years of cards, and probably some cards I've written that are probably super funny. And like, man, that dude was a fucking asshole, But yeah, she saved all that stuff and gave it to me last night. I haven't had a chance to sit down and go through it, but I'm sure there'll be some more tears,
Yeah.
But like how loved I am, man. That like I'm out there shooting dope, not thinking about that. You know what I mean? But people been praying for me for 20, probably longer than that shit, 30 years, hoping that I get to where I am today. And I made it. You know what I mean? I made it here today. And that's an amazing, just a beautiful
Back to the question.
sorry. Tangent. I told you she reels me in, dude. She's ready for me to say what I want to say about her. She's ready to hear it here. So as far as what I'm proud of as a couple, is that where we went with it?
So the question is,
And then her.
It's more of like, what are you proud of as either a parent or a partner? Most proud of yourself about being a parent or a partner, and also what are you the most proud of for your partner?
I am super proud of the work that I put in to get to this point, because it was a lot of work. Like my dad did everything for me, as far as like finances and stuff like that, because I couldn't control myself. You know what I mean? I was horrible with money, and so like my dad probably helped me too much in that aspect. He's still tied to my bank account today, luckily, because like if he sees cash coming out of there, he's gonna close that motherfucker down. You know what I mean? And so he knows. You know what I mean? But like, man, I haven't had to ask my dad for money in like 2 years. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, and like, that's a small thing, but like, hey, Dad, man, I'm struggling with this bill. Bro, I paid my own bills and bought things and done all this stuff and haven't had to ask him. And he'll tell you, he's like, man, that's why my bank account's so big. You know what I mean? Like he has not had to loan me any money in a long time. And like, that is because he's been loaning me money and not even loaning me, giving me money because I ain't never paid him back. You know what I mean? I shot it in my arm. So I'm proud of the work that I've put in to get to where like us sitting at this table right now. And that's awesome. And as far as my partner, I'm proud of the woman that she's become. Like when I met her in 2016, like I got her, we went to rehab and then she fucked up a little bit and went to Asheville, and like I went up there and got her and brought her back to
because I got kicked out of rehab.
I paid for her to get into a halfway house because I saw what I wanted. You know what I mean? And I went up there. I drove to Asheville in a 1992.
Oh my gosh.
Buick Regal or something. It was my grandma's car. Man, and I was pushing it. And I was like, man, I don't know if this car is going to make it, but I'm going to get her. You know what I mean?
12-hour round trip.
And I went and got her, brought her back, and from like Peachtree, sitting on the porch of Peachtree, like, wondering what was about to happen with this relationship. That woman that I met there, and the woman that is like here sitting at this table is man, like the growth and just the strength, like the mom that she is, man, like that's what a transformation, and it's just I am so blessed to call her my wife, and the family that she's got, and that our family connection, like her side, my side, like just one fucking happy family, dude. Like, and that's what we are today. Like, we are a happy family. And like so many years of not being happy, anybody. Just like to now, like laughing, like, Man, it's unbelievable. And so like I'm proud of her and her strength.
That's gorgeous. Man, you making me I know. Man, y'all got this habit of making these damn tears flop out.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful, man. This is why I wanted to get y'all together, because it's easy to forget sometimes on not only how far you come, because you get so busy in life right now and the future, but also, and you guys are right, you are a statistic, very small statistic. And, I definitely don't want anyone to see this to say, oh man, well, I'm in my 19th run in rehab too. And so is this man I love that's out there using right now. If I can just get him in the rehab, he's going to change. That bitch ain't changing.
No.
I don't want people to see that, but I also don't want people to lose hope that they can be happy with somebody like us.
Exactly.
So like we had to make a decision individually to save ourselves so we could save this. Yeah. Exactly. You know what I mean?
If you're not healthy, nobody's going to be healthy.
And so like that's what people miss out on when they look at us. Like it was a selfish decision to save myself so that we could save our relationship and our family. Mm-hmm. And like, if we hadn't have made that decision, and like, no matter what that looks like I know like my decisions affect all of this. Mm-hmm. And so like, using is not an option. Like in no way, shape or form is that decision going to be healthy for this household. You know what I mean? Right. And so like knowing that, like I know that. I know if I put whatever in me, I might as well just burn this house down. Yep. And that's just where I know that.
Another reason I want to make this, and we're probably going to end right after this too, but I find that legacies are the most important thing as parents. And I really wanted this, like I wanted to talk to you both, but I also wanted to talk to you too as well, because this is also, and this is making me choke up a little bit, because I actually do this for myself, like I make videos and stuff for one day if something happens to me that Tilly can watch them. And I think this is important for your girls one day, because we never know where life is going to take us, that one day they can look back and have some pride on mom and dad. And, you can show it off to them too, because I don't think y'all take such good care of yourselves. I really doubt anything's going to pop up. But I'm just saying, I think this legacy would be important. And I can tell you one thing, them little girls, whether they know it right now or not, they are full of pride. Oh yeah. For a reason that they don't understand yet. Yeah. Because your vibes, I've been around you and your kids. Yeah. Your vibes both rub off on them. Yeah. You're doing a fantastic job. Yeah. Y'all both, we made my day. All three of us in here. Come on. Thank you so much once again. Y'all are wonderful.
Billy.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Billy.
Someone was flipping to my feet. They're both so tired they can do no walking. I gotta shake this off before it drags me down. And every time I try, I fall behind in the push aside, but not this time. You won't drag me down.